Welcome back to the Outskirts podcast with Tanner and friends. I hope you'll enjoy this next installment in our second annual Halloween series, but I do have a concern. You see, I'm afraid that in sharing these stories, some of you may be tempted to dabble with things that should not be dabbled with. So from the outset of this episode, hear my plead. Please. Please.
Please.
Do not play with Ouija boards. Okay. We now welcome my longtime friend, Cole.
So, I grew up in the church just as you did, and we were warned of a lot of things to be careful of, and protect ourselves, and not to be open to things, and there's 100 different things. We were growing up in the '80s, so we were all in the middle of the Satanist scare of satanic rituals and stuff like that. So the Ouija board was thrown into that. And that's, of course, where we also get the campfire story of, the Ouija board where they burn it. And then later in the story, it comes up and it's there again, big scare. So I grew up on a horse ranch. My dad trained horses and trained kids to show horses. There were always a lot of kids around. There was camps where they would come, and just a lot of different people my age always around. And I have a stepsister who's 6 months older than me, so we were always partners in crime in everything we did. She'll tell you that I was always the safe one, and she was the one trying to jump off a ledge, still to this day. So I think she was the one that introduced the Ouija board, brought it around, and we were going to try it one night with a couple of different friends. And I'm not sure how I became like the speaker for it, but I was the one that always asked the question. And you put your hands on the planchette and you say, "Is anybody there?" And you just wait. And then it just slowly just inches around and makes it to, yes. And my second question was always, are you a boy? I don't know. I mean, I'm 10 at this point. I'm probably maybe 12, 13, maybe I'm 13 years old, maybe 14 years old. And it would always go to yes, and we'd ask a couple of questions, and that was it. And that was it. Well, we did it so much, and I also had an aunt who, during her divorce, she came and lived with us for a while, and she was really, really into tarot, like tarot cards. And she bought me a deck that was just like hers, and I would give her readings and she would give me readings, and it was just something that became a normal and familiar thing. So I think that added to some of it. Well, basically fast forward to my high school years, the Ouija board was still kind of a thing. It was something that was still around and would pull out from time to time, but it was never around a lot of people. Well, we had a party one night I think it was a buddy of mine's birthday, and I decided to bring the Ouija board. And so we get it out finally, and we start using it. And if you've ever played with a Ouija board, if you put a couple of people's hands on it, and one person starts to really be aggressive and push it, the little planchette will kind of stutter. So that's why it kind of has to move slow, because everybody's just it's just that natural kind of shakiness of your hands, and I think subconsciously willing it to do things, you can kind of make it move very slowly in different directions just out of the natural kind of shakiness of our hands and just subconscious will. And there was like 7 of us that were sitting at a coffee table doing it, and it started out kind of slow. And it's moving. And I ask, well, first I ask, is anybody there? And it goes to yes. And then I ask, are you a boy? And it goes to no, which that was the first time I'd ever had the answer of no come up for an answer in Ouija board. I was like, well, this is interesting. This is neat. And it was like, what is your name? And it went to S and a G. And it starts getting a little faster, starts sliding a little smoother across the board, which was a little odd. And we're like, okay, how old are you? And it starts moving, and it just starts going a little faster, and it goes to like 1, 4. I'm like 14. I'm like, okay. And I was like, what is your first name? And it starts moving faster, and it goes to S-A-R-A. And I was like, okay, what's your last name? And it spells out the last name, and it's going faster. At that point, when it spells out the last name, of the 7 of us, 3 or 4 guys get up, and they back away because it spelled the name of a classmate who had been accidentally shot and killed by her dad the previous year. And I'm starting to think, okay, this is bull crud. I'm like, there's no way. So I ask, what's your nickname? And it spells out Snookie. Snookie. I mean, like, it is moving fast. Now there's only like 3 or 4 hands on this thing. As I said, I mean, if one person's pushing it, it just doesn't move. And I had never had one move this fast. I mean, it looks like a movie where it's just boom, 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 boom. And we all just stop, and we all sit back, and we're all like, okay, what do we do? I said, this is bullcrap. This isn't real. And I was like, okay, well, let's ask another question. A question that none of us know, because this girl, while we knew her, she wasn't someone that was immediately in our circle. She was like in a peripheral circle. We knew her. I mean, I went to a school with 2,000 students, and while she was in our grade, we had about 400 or 500 people in our class. We all knew her because she'd been in one of our classes, but she wasn't in our circle. So, ask a question that nobody knows. And I was like, what's your dad's name? And it spelled it out. I get up, I go to the phone book, because this is back when we still had phone books, and I look up the last name, and there it is. And it has his name and the mom's name and the last name. So then I go back. Like, okay, I was like, what's your mother's name? Boom, 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 boom. Spells it out. And at that point, I am shook. I mean, to my core, I'm scared. Up until then, it had been a game. Woo, we're talking to a spirit. Up until then, it had been a parlor trick. It had been something that you could explain away. And then suddenly, I felt like I'd opened the door to something that was dangerous, like really, really, really dangerous. I felt like I had to resolve things. We couldn't just leave it at that and close it and be done. I mean, that's just not. So we got back one time, and I was like, "Are you in a good place?" It went to yes. Moved back. And I said, "Is it okay if we let you go now?" It went to yes. And then I said, "Okay, bye." It went to bye. And that was the last time I ever, 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 ever touched one.
Dude, that's horrifying. That's the best Ouija story I think I've heard. Oh man, that was so intense. You've never told me that story.
Yeah, I guess not.
It's scary.
How long were you uncomfortable with that experience? Was it hard to talk about for a while?
Yeah. And then I brought it up. The thing that frustrates me is that, I mean, I know what happened. I had a lot of experience with a Ouija board, and I asked one of my best friends, and you know him, and I brought it up one time later, and he was like, "Oh, there was just people moving it." And I'm like, "No, dude, no, it wasn't. There's no. It doesn't. It does not slide like 90 miles an hour around the board if a person is moving it, or there's not some grand scheme. I mean, it was just." It was just too. It was too. And I don't know. It was. I was uncomfortable for a while. I definitely. Well, I mean, never touched it again. I guess I was. I was very protective of myself for a while. I didn't. I got rid of it. I don't know what I did. I guess I may have thrown it away. I probably left it. At that point, I was driving, so I probably left it in the back of my truck or somewhere in the back of my truck, and took it back down to the ranch or to my sister's and asked her, "Do you want it?" Because I'm about to toss it. I certainly didn't burn it because I was scared of that too. I don't know
Show
what.
up on your front porch.
Yeah. I don't know what I did with it.
Oh man, that's a great story. It's like, your buddy, he's not gonna allow there to be the paradigm shift required in order to accept the truth of that experience, It's
Hmm.
what else will you have to accept as true?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he still follows that sort of mindset today, And I don't know. I've always felt like it was like dodging a bullet. And I think it was maybe a blessing in disguise. I don't know. I mean, I don't, I don't think I was talking to Sarah. I don't think I was. I think Sarah's gone. I've always heard about familiar spirits. And I think that's what I had touched. And I think it was just that little, come here, let's talk again. Let me see if I can get you because, I mean, that's how it all starts. How it all starts. And we've all fallen victim with that little taste of something and we go down the rabbit hole. We've all done it. But that was one rabbit hole that I just got. It spooked me.
Hi, friends. We're going to hear from our sponsor, and then if you want to stick around when we come back, I'm going to read you a few Ouija board reviews on Amazon.com in an attempt to hopefully dissuade you from ever playing with one of these things. This episode of the Outskirts podcast with Tanner and Friends was brought to you in part by Felix's non-denominational hex removal services. Hello? Hello? Listen, you goons. Don't make me star 69 your asses. Trying to catch up on my Knight Rider here. Hello? Heather, is that you? Look, I'm sorry. You can do better than me. This... Hello?
Hello, Tanner.
Dang it. Jeez. Which voice texted you? Dang, she hexed you. Trouble, vexed you. What are you gonna do? Problems with the curse. Ex-girlfriend drives a hearse. Call Felix's non-denominational hex removal services. Word to Joel Osteen. Oh, good. You're still here. So, if our last storyteller didn't scare you off of Ouija boards, maybe these verified purchase reviewers on Amazon can help. Let's dive into a few. Verified purchaser. My husband and I decided to play this as a game. This is not a game. I repeat, this is not a game. We made a grave mistake by purchasing this board. At first, everything was going fine. We communicated with a friendly spirit. However, it took a sinister turn and Zozo decided to take control. He said my husband was going to die in a car accident. Today, my husband got in a car accident. He survived, thank God. But we can't help but wonder if it will happen again. This is no children's toy, but a phone line directly to the devil. My house has had a dark presence and I no longer feel safe. I'm so afraid to go to sleep, I just smoke cigarettes and drink coffee around the clock. Verified purchaser. Good product, but be careful with it. I got a headache and almost threw up. So just be extremely careful, please. Verified purchaser. Got objects moving around in my house and doors closing on their own now. Thanks, Ouija board. I really wanted to be haunted. Technically, I guess it worked though, so 4 stars? Why did I buy this? Gah. Verified purchaser. So at first when it came, it was working perfectly. My friends and I even started hearing spirits tap on my bathroom door, and things started falling out of nowhere. But then the board just stopped working. I don't know if we did something wrong. Since the first time it stopped working, it literally never worked again, as much as we tried. But I've had a good and scary experience with it. Recommended. Verified purchaser. Okay, so I bought this because I don't believe in all that spirit or ghost talk type of junk. But I can honestly say so many crazy things have happened in my house after opening it. We didn't even play with it. Things disappeared and reappeared. More than once, my husband thought I was lying until he dropped his lighter outside and couldn't find it. Then the next day, his lighter was just sitting on the kitchen table. I was walking it to the trash when my neighbor asked if he could have it. So my demons are gone and I'm about to sage my entire house. So if you think this is a joke to play with, stuff like that, it's not. One bit. I am a firm believer. Verified purchaser. Husband and I got this board to play as we are quite interested in this type of stuff. He loves horror movies and all sorts. Well, we gave this board a go at 9 p.m., asked the board if you are good or bad, and it was saying yes. It was a 85-year-old lady who lived where we are. We then asked what her name was. It went to Mama, which we believe is another Zozo. The panchayat that it came with got stronger and stronger as it was doing MAMA, and my one finger couldn't keep up and fell off. And my husband quickly said goodbye, and then we were finding cold spots around our fireplace. Super strange. If you want a thrill and maybe believe in this or not doesn't matter. I think after this, a non-believer would most likely freak out also. One awesome board, but don't recommend playing all the time. But if you do, go for it. Maybe try a nice spirit and not Mama, 'cause they scared the crap out of us. Verified purchaser. I've been wanting this for quite a while now, but I don't have anywhere to put it until now. The board itself is quite beautiful and well made compared to the planchette. I did use it once, only for some trickster of a spirit to mess with me and start spelling Mama. Told his ass I ain't playing no games, and if you don't want to talk, goodbye. After I said goodbye, I cleansed the board and my house and slept like a baby that night. Verified purchaser. I got this one, and well, I thought my stupid self was moving the planchette, and said to myself, science is right about the ideomotor effect, and well, took my hand off the planchette, and it kept on moving, trying to get off the board. Spirits are real, I know, from dying a few times. Don't believe me? Okay, but you're not the one who had seizures when you were a kid. But Ouija is dangerous. I don't recommend to treat it like a game. Be warned, never play alone. If you ask the board if you can play with someone else, and it says no, then it wants to possess you. Verified purchaser. My sister and I played this at her house, but we didn't make contact. A few weeks later, my nephew, who was 3 years old, started seeing a little boy who nobody else could see. He talked about him a lot. I stayed a night a month after we played with the board, and around 3 in the morning my nephew woke up and ran over to the couch where I was sleeping and got under the covers and said, I don't like him anymore. Even though nothing came through when we played with the board, it appears something stuck around after. Verified purchaser. I was a skeptic, to be honest, but with just a little practice, my daughter and I were able to speak with dead relatives in no time. Knowing that those who have passed are still around and we have a way to contact them has been amazing. Just be careful. Sometimes bored spirits will try and pass themselves off as people you know just to mess with you. If that happens, just know that you will likely have to move to a new house, and in some cases, they may follow you and you may need to seek out a professional to help with their removal. Verified purchaser. Works well. Ghosts everywhere. Verified purchaser. Do not purchase. It is evil. You will risk interacting with demons. Verified purchaser. It opens doors spiritual. This is not for kids. Verified purchaser. After using this product in my house, I have not been able to sleep. Doors randomly open and close by themselves. Objects get moved around my house, and I feel as if someone is watching me. I've contacted a church in my area, and they have sent their pastor out multiple times to bless my house. It hasn't worked. I still hear voices calling my name from the other room when I'm the only one home. I don't know what else to do. Verified purchaser. I dislike everything about this. My house is now haunted and we've had demons for a while. I do not recommend. Verified purchaser. It gave me nightmares. Please don't buy this. Verified purchaser. Hell no. I big scared. Verified purchaser. Dislike. Verified purchaser. Was nice, it worked and everything, but now I think I'm hearing voices, and my family been acting weird since I used it. A lot of creepy birds have been flying around my house, and it's scaring me. Worked great though, and great quality build. Don't recommend it. Gets really scary. Verified purchaser. I decided that it wasn't worth opening. That door. This game is evil, and children should not play it.